So we are talking about something that has really made headlines. It really shocked, I think, a lot of people to see. I think it was over $200 million defrauded from a Loretto Hospital top executive, a CEO. And here to talk more about it is Kelly Bauer with Block Club Chicago. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know, I really appreciate your journalism. You always do deep digging, diving into a lot of really compelling stories, really salacious stories at the same time. Tell us more about how this CEO was able to pull this off.
Yeah, and thank you so much for your kind words. Folks might remember that back in 2021, during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, Block Club revealed that an executive at Loretto Hospital had been giving people access to the vaccines before they were supposed to have it. That executive was Dr. Ahmed. We then did a series of stories showing how Dr. Ahmed had also had questionable conduct at Loretto, including working or having Loretto create contracts with his own best friend, business partner, and next door neighbor, Dr. Samir Suhail. Mr. Suhail and Dr. Ahmed are now facing charges for embezzling $15 million from Loretto Hospital. But more recently, more charges came out, and prosecutors allege that Dr. Ahmed was part of a scheme that stole $300 million from the federal government through fake COVID-19 testing. They say that he stole patients' information from Loretto Hospital and then used that information to pretend to do COVID-19 testing and to submit claims to the federal government looking to get reimbursed for that testing, even though none of it was ever actually done.
Wow. So there's a lot that goes into that. So from your point of view, what do you think made it escalate from that vaccine controversy to everything else that happened following?
I can't say what made it escalate, but what is interesting to me is how much of this kind of activity we saw during that peak of the COVID-19 pandemic. These new charges were really interesting to me because they kind of brought together two major stories Block Club had exposed in 2021 and 2022, which was the Loretto vaccine scandal, but also all these scandals with COVID-19 pop-up testing centers. We wrote about how these companies were popping up all over the city. I'm sure you guys remember them, where you could supposedly walk in, get your COVID test, and get your positive or negative result within minutes. And we showed that a lot of them had really questionable practices. A lot of them were not collecting people's insurance information like they were supposed to, and things like that. That led to a number of investigations, companies getting shut down, all that kind of stuff. And now, more recently, it was shown that Mr. Med was allegedly part of the testing issues as well. So I think it's just an example of how some people were really taking advantage of people's concerns and fears during the height of the pandemic in order to try to make money off of it.
And also, really, how greedy some of these people are. I mean, they were already people that were in healthcare with pretty highly esteemed positions. Can you talk about if there was anything uncovered to show where the money trail went? Once the money, they were given this chunk of money, where did it go? Did they go buy something like a yacht? Do we know any of those details?
Yes, so Mr. Med had a number of properties in Houston, nice mansions, things like that. There was also more than $50 million that were seized in an account run by Mr. Ahmed. Luxury cars, Rolls-Royce, Mercedes-Benz, a Lamborghini, things like that. So this money was allegedly going toward buying those kinds of properties, those high-end cars, and of course also just towards saving it for other expenses.
What do you think about oversight? Because that was one of the issues. I remember following some of these stories with these fraudulent pop-up COVID testing sites. And one of the major issues was who's overseeing these locations. Like, you pull up as an everyday person, it was obvious that, come on, this place can't be legit. What did you find in terms of your reporting when it came to oversight from the state level and even maybe on the federal level as well?
Yes, so these pop-up testing sites were supposed to be regulated by the federal government, which regulates, normal labs under regular conditions. But I think because people were just rushing to get things set up during that peak of COVID-19, there wasn't as much oversight as there would normally be. Now we are seeing some of that start to come back. Mr. Ahmed is not the only one facing charges in these kinds of schemes. Another person we had written about, Mr. Jamil Al-Qussa, is facing charges in a similar scheme where prosecutors say he took in $200 million for fake COVID-19 testing, including in the Chicago area. And other folks that we had written about have also been charged. So I think that in the moment, the oversight was something that was troubling. It was just part of this big rush to make testing as available as possible. But now that we've kind of been able to take a step back, testing is not done at the same frantic pace it used to be. Some of those folks who had allegedly participated in these, defrauding and embezzling conspiracies are now facing charges. We know that that's at least 500 million that we've highlighted with our reporting that was supposedly defrauded from the government.
So for people who are following the case, what timeline do you expect in terms of trial?
It's difficult to say. So after the initial charges of embezzling 15 million from Loretto Hospital, Mr. Suhail and Dr. Ahmed fled to Dubai. They still remain there based on my reporting. And so we are looking at what could happen next. Could they be extradited? Are they, just now able to live freely in Dubai? It's difficult to say, but I do think that we will see more updates in this case.
Let me ask you in terms of rebuilding trust, because Loretto Hospital obviously has a huge task of rebuilding trust with the community. Has there been any attempt on the hospital to try to bridge the gap between them now and the community for the community to essentially trust them again?
That's a wonderful question. And it was a big thing during our reporting is Loretto is a safety net hospital on the west side. It's supposed to be taking care of the most vulnerable people in Chicago. In fact, it was the hospital where COVID-19 vaccines were first administered in Chicago because the city wanted to send a message that we are going to take care of our low-income neighbors, our neighbors of color, our vulnerable groups. And then, of course, all of this news came out, and I think it has led a lot of people to question what is happening at these hospitals. Is it safe? What kind of care is there? And I think, Loretto has gotten rid of some of the administrators who were present. A number of them are facing charges connected to these cases I talked about, including former CEO George Miller. But I think a lot of people do still have concerns, especially because Loretto administrators and even politicians associated with the hospital continue to defend Mr. Miller and Dr. Ahmed after our reporting. So I think that they do still have a ways to go with rebuilding trust with the community that they serve.
Well, Kelly, you break a lot of stories in and around Chicago. Your journalism is absolutely remarkable. Anybody watching right now, where can they follow you?
I'm on Twitter, Blue Sky, Bauer Journalism, and of course, you can always go read my stories at Block Club Chicago.
All right, Kelly Bauer, it has been an absolute pleasure. I enjoy your work personally. I'm kind of fangirling right now. I know that's weird, but in the journalism world, that's a little thing that we do. We appreciate you being on.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.
Take care.
And coming up, we'll be talking to the Amazon operations manager to learn a little bit behind the scenes about